The U.S. Supreme Court has stepped into one of the most consequential legal battles of the government shutdown, the fight over food aid for millions of Americans. On Friday, the court temporarily blocked a lower court order that required the Trump administration to fully fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, for the month of November. The decision comes as 42 million low-income Americans, roughly 1 in 8 people in the United States, face growing uncertainty about how they'll feed their families during the shutdown, the first time in SNAP's 60-year history that payments have been halted.
Millions of Americans are going to be without SNAP benefits, and I will say about SNAP benefits, so when I was president, we had $7 billion worth, and now they have many times that, because these benefits were given to anybody that asked, and they're up to, I hear, just many times, $47 billion. So it wasn't the purpose of SNAP. It was for people that really had problems, down and out, people that really had problems. But during Biden, they gave it to anybody that wanted it. I think it's something you have to talk about because the numbers are incredible.
Just a day earlier, U.S. District Judge John McConnell in Rhode Island had ordered the Agriculture Department to release nearly $9 billion in full SNAP benefits, rejecting the administration's plan to pay only about 65% of what's owed. But within hours, the Trump administration appealed, arguing that it could not legally spend beyond its contingency funds about $4.65 billion, enough to cover roughly half of all eligible households. When the First Circuit Court of Appeals refused to pause the order, the administration went straight to the Supreme Court, claiming that enforcing the lower court's mandate would cause, quote, imminent, irreparable harm. New York Attorney General Letitia James blasted the Supreme Court's move, calling it a tragedy for the millions of Americans who rely on SNAP to feed their families.
But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge and a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law. And a justice system which unfortunately is nothing being used as a vehicle of retribution. But my faith is strong. And my faith is, I have this belief in the justice system, in the rule of law, and I have a belief in America and all of its individuals who have stood with me, not only in New York, but all across this nation.
SNAP, better known as food stamps, is the nation's largest anti-hunger program. It serves 42 million Americans, including nearly 3 million New Yorkers, about 1 million children, and over 600,000 seniors.
Today, on short notice, I wanted the opportunity to give you an important update on SNAP and the work we've all collectively been doing to make sure our fellow Pennsylvanians get the food that they need. First, let me just recognize George, who runs SHARE. He's been a really good friend, and SHARE has been an extraordinary organization feeding our fellow Pennsylvanians. George, I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to your entire team here at SHARE. And Lori and I enjoy being here volunteering, and we love seeing your expansion and the important work you're doing. I also want to thank Lori Jones-Brown from Philabundance. Lori does a great job leading Philabundance, where I was just a few days ago making an important announcement in this space. And so, Lori, we're grateful that you joined us here at SHARE today. And of course, I'm joined by the Secretary of the Department of Human Services here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Dr. Val Arkush. And so we're grateful to the important work that she does every single day. As I mentioned before, but I think it bears repeating, SNAP is something that impacts a whole bunch of Pennsylvanians, 2 million Pennsylvanians to be exact. It means 1 out of every 8 of our neighbors across this Commonwealth rely on SNAP. Over 700,000 Pennsylvania children rely on SNAP. And here in just the city of Philadelphia, 472,000 of our fellow Pennsylvanians right here in Philadelphia rely on SNAP. So I just want to give you a sense of how important this is to families all across Pennsylvania. When SNAP was taken away from our fellow Pennsylvanians, we saw an immediate impact. Folks came knocking on the doors here at Share. They came knocking on the doors of a place called Weinberg up in northeastern Pennsylvania, where I was just yesterday. And I even saw it on Election Day here in Philly when I was heading down Broad Street, going over to visit some folks at a poll. And I saw on Broad Street a line that was 3 blocks long. And when I got to the corner, I noticed that line that was 3 blocks long bent around the corner into the neighborhood as far as the eye could see. I thought for a second, wait, are these folks waiting to vote? No, they were there waiting at a pop-up food pantry. When the federal government cut off SNAP, there was an immediate need that we saw in our communities. Our neighbors who were hungry. 1 out of every 8 of our neighbors relies on this funding, and it was taken away. And we went to work here in the Commonwealth to look out for our fellow neighbors. The first thing we did was we sued the Trump administration to get those SNAP benefits flowing again. The second thing I did, utilizing my authority as governor, was to sign an emergency declaration here in the Commonwealth, which I announced with Lori at Phil Abundance the other day. That allowed us to be able to free up an initial $5 million to be able to send to places like Share, because we knew that more people were going to come banging on their doors seeking help. As a result of that emergency declaration, Share alone received about $740,000 in additional funding that allowed them to purchase more food already and get that food out to the people who are in need in our communities. In addition to that, I appealed to the better angels here in Pennsylvania and appealed to the goodness of our fellow Pennsylvanians and asked people to step up and make contributions to the Pennsylvania Emergency SNAP Fund. And I have to just take a moment and thank so many generous Pennsylvanians who have already donated more than $2 million. And every single cent of that $2 million has made its way to Feeding Pennsylvania. And Feeding Pennsylvania has sent those dollars directly to places like Share and Phil Abundance and Weinberg and all of the other food pantries across Pennsylvania.